Hey guys, my name is Kevin Carr. Today I wanted to talk about Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. That was a really good book. One of the things that kind of immediately stood out to me was that Tony supposedly wrote this book about a ghostwriter, and I'm inclined to believe him. Just the way that this book is written seems more conversational, and I wish a lot of other CEOs and business people who decide to write business memoirs or business advice books would follow the same advice because it really helps connect more with Tony, the person. And he's lived a very interesting life. And I'll probably do a video on his life and his influence creating Zappos and the culture he created there as well. But one really thing I really want to highlight in this book is in the middle book, he talks about him learning poker and how much that basically helped him solidify a lot of things he learned in business, basically improve his understanding overall of business and get a little bit smarter in that way. Two very important things was how poker taught him how to, well, three things. First being that how poker taught him to think more longer term. So with poker's a game of statistics and probability and skill. So usually at a table, if you have an optimal strategy, even if it's just 51% chance of winning over a long period of time, you're going to end up winning. Another important component is who's at the table. He really strongly drives this point home where your table selection or where you choose to play and who you choose to play will determine your success more often than not. You can be the best skilled player in the world, but if you're at a table with other highly skilled and elite players, you're less likely to succeed than if you were at a table with people who don't know how to play the game or are less skilled than you. So he really emphasizes this table selection, and he highlights it for the story and anecdotes he tells when he decided to go to local tables in San Francisco and California. So when he first learned how to play poker, he wanted to get as much experience and practice. So he went to these local table halls for poker and got the reps in. He got the at bats in where he could improve, and he was able to improve his chances of winning by going to the table with the least experienced people. So how does this correlate or relate to business? We can think about if you choose any business industry or particular niche, if it's too big or too crowded or too competitive, you have a less likely chance of succeeding in that particular niche or industry than if you went to a niche that is smaller, more focused, and doesn't have as efficient or less crowded niche. So it is better to choose a niche where there's less competition and you're more likely to succeed. The third point being that for any skill that you want to improve, make sure you get actual experience. Theory is okay, but you need actual experience to basically ingrain those lessons from theory. So again, what did he do in order to get better at poker? He made sure to go to the local poker halls and get games in with actual people and really test out the theory he learned in the books he initially read. So how does this actually relate to whatever hobby or skill you're trying to improve? Let's say in particular, you're trying to improve your public speaking skills. What can you do to get those actual reps and at-bats in? Well, one being you could go to Toastmasters, you could give more presentations at work. Maybe you could be a guest lecturer or professor. Maybe I know the professor thing maybe is a little difficult if you don't have a specific skill or tenure within the industry. But I'm just giving examples. You could even try to tell stories to your nieces and nephews or friends' kids, but you would want as much chances at public speaking as possible to improve that skill. If you compare that to other skills, let's say you want to get a better jump shot, you obviously have to go to the gym and play around with people and shoot to see if you improve your shooting mechanics and also your overall field goal percentage. So if anything, whatever you want to learn, make sure you have an actual way to practice in order to get better at. Even if you're learning software for the first time, you want to go by project-based learning where you're building stuff instead of just going through the whole book all at once, because you're going to learn in a just-in-time manner where you end up learning, I don't know, let's say you're making a back-end API for your website. You're learning as you go, oh, this is how I do a REST API. Oh, this is how I use Node or whatever backend language to actually request data, transform it, and send it back to the user on the front end. Always go for project-based or experimental learning where you're getting that practice in. I'll share these lessons and the notes I took for the book in the description below. There's a lot of other great lessons as well. But this was a pretty good book. I would say probably not the best business book I read, maybe 3.5 or 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely worth a read at least. I think the man and the culture he ended up building at Zappos is very impressive. So I'll probably do a second, third video about Tony Hsieh, the man, and that culture he was able to build at Zappos. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.